Today's Hideway Tidbit is something I absolutely adore. It's the collection I have of cookbooks. I have been cooking since I was a small child. Today's Tidbit is brought to you by McCook's Pharmacy and Lee Hill and Johnston. Wonderful, local, love businesses that both greatly contribute to the reason why we all love Bullock County. One time when I was 8 years old, Mama and Daddy came home from Jewel and F.C. Parker's after dinner party, and I had baked an orange sponge cake. Yes, it required juicing an orange, separating eggs, whipping with an electric mixer, and baking in a hot oven. I told the babysitter, who was Glenda Smith, Smith Banks' sister, that Mama let me do this all the time. Aunt T. Sawyer was in the hospital, the old hospital, for something minor, and the next day I got to take her a piece of my cake. Okay, enough of that story. Today, let's talk about church cookbooks from Bullock County, and I have several. First one we're going to look at is Favorite Recipes from Our Best Cooks. It was produced by the Night Circle of the New Hope United Methodist Church in 1979. It cost $4.50 to have it mailed. A famous recipe included is from Judy Knight. Judy was the lunchroom lady in Brooklet for years, and I've purchased many cakes from her through those years. We lost Judy in 2018. Here is her recipe for chocolate sheath cake and chocolate sheath cake frosting. Many times this is referred to as a Texas sheet cake. During the 1950s, a sheet cake began being called a sheath cake. If you know why, please give me a shout. The difference of a sheet cake and a regular cake is the size of the pan. Another favorite recipe of mine in this book is hot chicken salad, submitted by Mrs. Aubrey Prosser, who was Alice Hodges. I serve this at luncheon sometimes. It combines chicken, celery, pimento, mayo, cheddar cheese, and condensed soup, and you top it with potato chips. It's yummy. Our Daily Bread was published by the Emmett Grove Baptist Church in 1984, and it's dedicated to Brother Hubert Tankersley. Included here are some of my favorite recipes from Nona Bunce, and one is Eggplant Supreme. I once had this at Providence at a Sunday lunch, and I thought it was oyster casserole. Nona didn't tell me any different. Later, she gave me a buzz, called me, and told me it was eggplant. She had to fess up. The next cookbook is Home Cooking Treasures of the Mary Martha Circle of the Statesboro Primitive Baptist Church. It was published in 1977. My favorite cheese ball recipe is included, and it was submitted by our member, Cecile Boulinow. It combines cream cheese, crushed pineapple with onion and green pepper, and covered with toasted pecans. Delish. There are several recipes from Edna Kaysen, but I'll cover her in another edition of Tidbits. I just found something I've been looking for, Miss Frida Beasley's chocolate pie recipe. Mama and I would go out of town, almost all the way to McCook's Pharmacy, many Friday afternoons to buy pies from Miss Frida. Mr. Naughton, her husband, had goats, and I guess that's where I got the notion I've always had that I want a goat. Bill says no. There's absolutely nothing finer than Miss Frida's chocolate pie topped with fluffy meringue. Another recipe that Mama used often was that of our member, Mary Jenny Smith, for pork chop casserole. It has rice, onions, tomatoes, and bell peppers, and it makes for a delicious supper. Danlin Akins and Nadine Harville both have several great recipes in this book. Southern Grace was published by the Lily McCrone Circle of the Statesboro First United Methodist Church in 1996. This is my church circle. I like looking at cookbooks to remember those friends that were excellent cooks and that have left us for a place called paradise. One such is Sarah Brannon, who spells Sarah correctly, S-A-R-A. Sarah was a second mother to me and my neighbor on Savannah Avenue. She is mother to society member Janice Wilbanks. She was always baking for others, and she baked hundreds, if not thousands, of something called Eagle Creek cookies. These were the rage for years in the borough, and I think I'm going to make some for Coach Lunsford and the team this fall. Janice, will you help me? It's basically the best oatmeal raisin cookie that can be made. Call me if you want the recipe. There's also the recipe for sherry cake from Helen Doris Proctor Morris Watson, a dear, dear friend and a cousin on my Franklin and Roundtree sides. She was also a devoted member of BCHS. Helen was from Summit, Georgia. This recipe is famous in Emanuel County with all my Lane relatives. Lazaire at Honey's makes this for dinner parties. My recipe's a little different. This dessert will certainly be served in heaven, as there's nothing finer. The First Presbyterian has produced 2 cookbooks, Predestined to Please and Feeding the Flock. The first is a great go-to book for me and was published in 1977. The editors were Dale and Beverly Presley. Dale is a distinguished fellow of the society. Mama's listed Mrs. Paul Franklin, Jr. Oyster casserole is listed, and I use it always during the holidays. My favorite blueberry muffin recipe is on page 73 from Mrs. Robert Benson. She was my Aunt Martha. There are recipes from many other family members, such as Betty and Isabel McDougall and T. and Corrine Sawyer. Wonderful memories of a bygone era. Member Ann Hamilton just hand-delivered me a copy of the 2017 Trinity Episcopal Church Cookbook, A Taste of Trinity. I had Jack Orman's Tomato Aspic, which is included, and it's divine. Steve Darby, Laura Kelly Campbell, Dahlia Newton, and Ann have great recipes for us to enjoy here. Please let me know if you have any local cookbooks that you no longer use. I would love to purchase them for my collection. We will have another tidbit on cookbooks. Thanks so much. Bye.